Hello my bookish friends, have I got something special for you today? In this video we're going to take a look at 4 of the most beautiful editions of some classic books. These are actually printed by Arcturus Publishing. Do you know who they are? Well, stick around because these books honestly are absolutely beautiful. Now, before I finish tantalising you with the beautiful spines only of these classics, I thought I'd just let you know that I personally reached out to Arcturus Classics, that's their logo just there, and I asked them whether I could showcase their books on this channel. And they sent me the 4 epic classics from their range. And I just wanted to say that because as much as it may say paid promotion, this video contains paid promotion, I asked them, they didn't come to me, they haven't given me any money to speak positively. I had already come across these books and they were so exquisite and so wonderfully made that I wanted to share them with you. And again, a lot of you haven't heard of Arcturus Classics, and yet they make a lot of books. So we're going to take a closer look so you get a sense, as best I could do with my filming, of just how sumptuously gorgeous and well crafted these books are. One mistake I make in this video all the way through is I keep mispronouncing an illustrator's name as Dor instead of Dore. Would you believe it? 20 odd years I've loved this artist. No one's ever stopped to correct my pronunciation until just today when I was about to upload this. So I came on and redid the intro. So excuse that one little mistake. Now let's take a look at these beautiful Arcturus Epic Classics. The first of the Arcturus Epic Classics is this wonderful looking book, and you see that. It's Dante's Divine Comedy. You've got Inferno, Purgatorio and Paradiso here. I'll just hold it in front of you and hopefully I'll get some good shots of this. I hope you can appreciate the beautiful blue. It's just a bit darker than a sky blue. You've got all the clouds here. You've got Dante on the front being pulled upwards by the great eagle. And the translation itself is by Longfellow. Now, I think Longfellow translated in 1839. And he demonstrated something that had always been a question at the time, which is, can poetry in other languages be rendered across to some other language itself, from German to English, Italian, Latin, whatever. And there have been struggles up to this time, but Longfellow really opened everyone's eyes because he tried to stick to the imagery of Dante wherever it would permit in the English language, rather than running off on his own ideas. And so the translation is a fantastic one to use. Also, if you look at the image, it's actually by Gustave Doré. Now, Gustave Doré is the illustrator to a lot of Charles Dickens' works. He is what's known as the last great romantic artist, capturing with those beautiful, beautiful lines and detail, the movement and the sort of gothic aspect, which suits a book like Divine Comedy so well with all its depictions of hell, the rings of hell. And so Dante is just, I love Dante. He's one of my favourite artists of all times. And we'll look at some of his images later, just to show you on the edge as well. Do you see how perfect Arcturus have done this? That's Dante entering into the woods at the beginning of the story. It's a complete wraparound painting, and it's just absolutely beautiful. Let's have a look inside, shall we? Let's just have a look at the frontispiece. Look at that. Isn't that just absolutely delicious? You can see here, this is Dante, and we've got Virgil as the guide. We're coming into, this is Inferno, we're coming into Hades, and crossing the river Styx with all of the dead souls in there. It's just marvellous, the detail in the picture, all those pencil strokes, they're just amazing. So let's carry on. Divine Comedy, there's the front as well. And look at this, your typical Gustave Dore, all the original plates by Gustave Dore. He seemed as if against me he were coming, with head uplifted and with ravenous hunger. Because, of course, he goes into the woods, doesn't he? The famous opening line of Canto number 1. Midway upon the journey of our life, I found myself within a forest dark, for the straightforward pathway had been lost. Ah, it's just brilliant. There he is entering the forest. And as we go through, look at these. Look at these. They're just delicious. That day no farther did we read therein. And then to give you an idea of like the fonts, you know, you can see the 3-line stanzas, typical of Italian writing, but not for English, but Longfellow was stuck quite close to it. Look at the size of the pages. They're so beautiful. Look at the space in the margins. It relaxes the eye. A really good quality font. The page themselves, can you hear that? That's a heavy page. Everything about this book is gorgeous and beautiful. Now, what I love about this is the style is so wonderful, but when you roll the book around, the back also has a beautiful illustration. In fact, this is my favourite illustration of all 4 on the back. Isn't that just magnificent? You could just sit and look at that all day in that beautiful colour blue. There's the famous line we read at the beginning. Midway upon the journey of our life, I found myself within a forest dark, for the straightforward path had been lost. Arcturus have done a phenomenal job. If you love classics, if you want some books just to make up a beautiful library that you can just touch, hold, and enjoy beautiful images, you should get yourself one of these. The next epic classic from Arcturus is my favourite cover of all. It's Paradise Lost by John Milton. And I don't know if you can see that, but that's Satan sat on the front there, and he almost pops off the page. You know, it's a typical Gustave Dore illustration again, this beautiful romanticized Gothic kind of picture. And I love the hell red that's been placed around this by Arcturus, because of course the original is just black and white. You can see the trees of Eden here cascading down, and Satan, sort of anti-hero of the whole poem, just brooding on a rock and feeling completely sorry for himself and miserable and vengeful. All the way through. Again, as always, I don't know if you can see here, you can see the cherubim outlining all of this. And again, it goes the entire way around, and there's also images on the back, which I'll show later. I'll just show you again the beauty of how it's laid out inside the book. Look at this frontispiece. Can you just see that? There's Satan himself. He's on a cliff overlooking the Eden, with this beautiful sunrise. And here we have the opening line: of man's first disobedience and the fruit of that forbidden tree whose mortal taste brought death into the world and all our woe, with loss of Eden till one greater man restore us and regain the blissful seat. Sing, heavenly muse. This is just epic writing. Of course, the whole thing is a poem, and again, same quality of paper, absolutely spectacular, and expect your beautiful Gustave Dore illustrations. An example of how it's laid out, just like the other books, so brilliantly. The margins are massive here. If you wanted to annotate, you could, but I personally wouldn't annotate a book this beautiful. It just makes it so easy. The font is slightly bigger, I think, than in the Divine Comedy. The spacing between the lines is just perfect. And you see how it runs, just delicious. These little embellishments thrown in. And then, of course, we'll eventually get to some of the images. Look at that, a typical Gustave Dore image. There's some more. There's Satan lying on a rock. Another one of all the fallen angels. It is absolutely wonderful. The whole thing is just perfection personified. Look at that. I'd love to just show you the back of this book, because they have the great picture on the front with Satan there rolling around, and look, the cover just carries on. Isn't that exquisite? You've got Adam and Eve Adam pointing to the garden, the angel guarding the entrance to the Garden of Eden after they've been cast out, with this beautiful, beautiful quote on the back. That day I oft remember when from sleep I first awaked and found myself reposed under a shade on flowers, much wondering where and what I was, whence thither brought and how. It's just a work of art. The next Arcturus classic is Tales of Mystery and Imagination by Edgar Allan Poe. Isn't that absolutely stunning? I'll do a little glide by again. Look at that. It's so nice. And the illustrator here is Harry Clarke, who I'm not so familiar with. You can immediately tell the difference of the drawing. It's very Fauvist, isn't it? Like Matisse, it reminds me of, compared to, say, Gustave Doré. But it fits the Tales of Mystery and Imagination. There's almost something a little bit Tim Burton at times about the drawing. Again, the feel of this book is absolutely magnificent. You've got the wraparound. Can you see that's one of his images there, one of Harry Clarke's images, and it wraps all the way around the volume. So whether you want to have the book standing outwards on your shelf next to each other, or you can have it standing with pages out, as some people do, it's going to look beautiful in itself. And like I say, it's got a great hefty weight to it. The finish is, can you hear that? It's just beautiful. I don't know what to call that cover. So let's take a deeper look in, shall we? So let's open up. Oh, look at that. That's the first picture for the frontispiece. Just, I don't know why, but I'm thinking Moulin Rouge, probably because it's red. But here we are. This is coming in his gondola here, pulling up to the side, and whatever's going on in this one. I don't know the story particularly, but it's just so ornate and beautiful, and you can drift away like this. It's a lovely little touch. Look at that. Skulls at the bottom with the number in the top. I love things like that. When I was little, this did it for me, and I've never grown out of that sense of wonder at seeing tiny details. So here is just the introduction page for each story, but I wanted to show you again what's the font like. Again, huge margins pulling you into the book. It doesn't feel like overwhelm when you have margins that are large. When you've got beautiful spacing between each of the sentences and a strong print. By that I mean it's not bold, but it's not this thin, insipid kind of line for the letters. It's absolutely stunning. And then of course, as you go through, we've got the pictures all the way along. Look at those. They're pretty special, I'd say. And with the little skull at the bottom. And again, here you go, Ligeia. We've got this almost movie-like daguerreotype, which is pulling us into the story. We know from its design that it's going to be dark and spooky. Of course, it's Tales of Mystery and Imagination. So a quick look at the reverse of the book. There it is, another great picture by Harry Clarke. That's from The Fall of the House of Usher, isn't it? It's Madeleine Usher, with the quote at the top. But then without those doors there did stand the lofty and enshrouded figure of the Lady Madeleine of Usher. And it's just got that beautiful flicker. Oh, the fourth Arcturus classic I've saved deliberately until last, and it's scenes from the Bible. Again, look at that nice gold embossing that's on there. This beautiful image at the front. I'll try and take a closer look perhaps. And in a darker blue than the Divine Comedy, sort of cerulean blue, but it's going to match nicely next to each other. You've got Jesus going into Jerusalem here with the crowds waving their palm branches. And once again, it's Gustave Doré as the illustrator. I love Gustave Doré. You know, I just don't think they could have picked a better illustrator at all. On the edge, as always, there's Jesus, I believe, standing head to toe. And there's other little scenes going around here. It's absolutely beautiful. Now, I saved this one specifically to the end for a reason. If you want to get into literature and you want to read the great epics, then, you know, Dante's definitely on there. Paradise Lost is on there. But the Bible is probably the foundational one. But it's a big book. So I was curious how they were going to put the stories of the Bible in this. I didn't know. And the way it's done, I'm going to show you soon inside, is remarkable. What it's going to allow you to do is get to know a load of the stories very quickly. And it's almost a great reference work, because when someone alludes to, say, Samson in a work, or they allude to Jeremiah or Job or Abraham or Ishmael, then you could just whip this out and find them, because it covers so many stories. So, having said that, let's look inside. So much movement and feeling and atmosphere in these drawings. Obviously we've got the crucifixion, beautiful use of lighting, casting everything else into the dark. This, I would gather, just because he's slightly raised from the rest of the image, I would gather this is probably the centurion who said, truly this was the Son of God. Okay, that's 62 stories there. Wow, and all of those as well. So how are they going to get all of those stories inside this short book? Wow, look at that. Adam and Eve, the beginning. You can see he's still comatose. The rib must have just been taken from him. And here comes Eve, his helpmate. Look at that. The creation of light. That's just fantastic. Oh, I just loved all. This is curious, actually. The death of Abel, so Cain and Abel. Just take a look at this. That's actually a fantastic way to learn the stories of the Bible. Look, here's a scripture from Genesis. When they were in the field, Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. And the Lord said unto Cain, where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? So that's the scripture. But look at what the writers do in this book. Cain and Abel bring offerings to God. God accepts Abel's offering but rejects Cain's. Possibly as a result of the anger and jealousy he feels at this rejection, Cain one day attacks and kills his brother. As punishment for the murder of Abel, God decrees that the ground will no longer bear crops for Cain, and that he will from then on be a fugitive and a vagabond. Cain spends the rest of his life a wanderer in the lands to the east of Eden. And of course, just that phrase, east of Eden, allusions from the Bible. You've got John Steinbeck's, his magnum opus really is East of Eden, and Cain goes to the East of Eden. Understanding scriptural allusions is so important, even if you're not religious, to understand literature. What else have we got? Oh, Moses with the Ten Commandments. That must mean the plagues were before this. Oh, there you go. Look, the Egyptians, Moses and Aaron in front of Pharaoh, pleading for him to go. Various others. Ooh, the murrain of the beast. That's the disease on the beasts. The using of the snakes. So Moses and Aaron first meeting. Look at the gorgeous picture there. That is just something else. The four chariots. Goodness me, that's Zechariah. Now, you really wouldn't expect to find this in the Bible. Not in the Bible, in a book today telling stories. But of course, this was written further back, I guess, because Gustave Doré is making the images. You can see it there. See, there's the Magi coming from the east, following the star. Look at just the detail and the atmosphere that is captured. A vision of death. So Revelation. This, of course, one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Do we have the other horsemen? Let's have a look. No. But we've got some scenes from Revelation, the fall of Babylon, the Last Judgment. I mean, New Jerusalem. This is just incredible. And then back to this beautiful frontispiece, which is placed at the end as well. Just a final thing to say about the book is the back of the books. Just look at this glorious wrap. I'll get closer. This glorious wraparound. It's just magnificent with this gold embossing on. There is nothing Arcturus haven't thought about as far as I can see. It's just stunning. And as well as that, just to say, the pages. Can you hear how thick? This is one page. Can you hear how thick that is? Absolutely delicious. And on the back of this one, we have a quote as well. And we've got almost Gustave Doré's take on the famous Last Supper painting. Can you see that? Jesus in the middle. So the back of this is just exquisite as well. Scenes from the Bible, Arcturus Epic Classics. He took a cup, gave thanks, and he gave it to them, saying, "Drink ye all of it. For this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins." I really hope that you've enjoyed taking a look at these beautiful Arcturus Epic Classics with me. They are just simply delicious. Paradise Lost again, the scenes from the Bible, tales of mystery and imagination, and the Divine Comedy. Tell me below which one you like the look of the most. And if you're interested in actually purchasing them, I've got links in the description below so you can go and get them there. And as of making this video, I don't get paid even for the links because I haven't set that up with Amazon. I just know that if you love books and you love classics, then you'll probably thoroughly appreciate having one of these on your shelves. Until the next time, I wish you joy in whatever you read.